We thank those of you who tuned in 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Well,
When we were
usually-
supposed to start. That's technical problem world.
And let's be honest. So I got it written down here. I got to make sure I got the right number. Today is episode 140 of Birds 365 with McMullen and McDonald. Not always McMullen and McDonald. Sometimes it's McDonald and Kurt. Sometimes it's McMullen and Krause. But about 95% of the time, maybe 98% of the time, it's McMullen and McDonald. We have never had a false start.
Yeah.
Unlike the Eagle offensive line,
No.
we have never had a false start here on Birds 365 before. We had our first in 140 shows today, J-Mac.
It's a bad omen, Jody. It's a bad omen. For
See, you
Sunday
didn't believe me when I said there's not a good football
we were
Friday.
saying that. Yeah. That's a correctable mistake. But in this case, no, I'm not going to blame it on us. It wasn't our fault. It was technical difficulties. I'm not blaming it on Xander Krause either. It's not his fault. It's a YouTube
We're
issue.
blaming YouTube.
Yeah,
When in doubt, blame
YouTube
YouTube. They're only $1 billion company. Go ahead.
Exactly. An
Stick
unforced
it out.
error. An unforced error from who runs YouTube? Who's the
What
Nick
a-
Sirianni of YouTube?
What
We
about
got to
an
get attention to detail over there.
What about an unforced error? Did not foresee that coming. But we will give you our foresight to this week's Eagles and Raiders game, which this bears repeating, and I don't like repeating it, but it is a necessary evil, so to speak. It's a football Friday, and in our start that never saw the light of day, I did ask my partner, John McMullen, is there such a thing as a bad football Friday? Because football's football, and it's great, and we all love it, and we all live for it. But if you're pretty confident that you know the outcome of the game, and you don't think the hometown team, where you root for the hometown team, if they don't win, it's a shame, is going to go well, does that make it a bad football Friday?
Yeah, I'm not where you are. I get why if you have that. I don't think the Eagles are going to win this game, and I'm foreshadowing our predictions late. You've already foreshadowed yours, evidently, but I don't think they're going to win the game either. But I will say it's a winnable game if that makes sense. So if a couple things go their way, I don't think the Raiders are what the Eagles have been facing. I don't think the Raiders are Tampa Bay. I don't think they're Kansas City, even though Kansas City isn't where we thought they would be. I still think they're a much better team. I don't think they're Dallas, to be honest. So if you look at some of the teams that have been on the schedule for the Eagles, I think this is I think this is more in the San Francisco, Carolina category, where they won one, they lost one. And, it was a one-score game, and they had a chance, and they probably outplayed the 49ers. They didn't get it done. They probably got outplayed by Carolina for the majority of the game. They made some plays. They got a play on special teams. They got a big field goal, and they found a way to win a game. So I think it's going to be more in that category. But I do think the Raiders have a better football team. And I don't think there's any question about that.
And you did a good job of describing a couple of games the Eagles have played so far this year. I'll touch on another one that, like you, I didn't think they had a chance to win, and they didn't. And I was their last game last Thursday against the Bucs, and that was only 8 days ago. Why does it feel like it's been 3 weeks since the Eagles last played?
Yeah. If I never hear the term mini bye again, I'm going to be happy, Jody.
Exactly. It's it affects the team the way the team hopefully wants it to affect them, but it affects those of us who cover the team and the fans who root for the team as well. And it's borderline torturous that these games take as long as because I'm watching baseball playoffs and there's a game every single night. Every night somebody's playing. So it's great. You can stay in baseball mode. Eagles got to wait 10 freaking days.
That's why,
for another game.
but that's why people are so passionate, because you have so little of it. So it just builds and builds and builds. That's really people talk about betting and blah, blah. That to me is the secret of success with the NFL, is there's so little of it compared to other sports. You have disappointing losses in baseball. You're playing the next day. You have disappointing loss in basketball. You got a couple days and you're back out there. Same thing in hockey. Football, man. Whew. And then you get to the off season, which it's 100% Mac and Mac we were talking about. in the offseason, you got a tremendous build. And everybody's excited by the time week 1 rolls around. That to me is why the NFL generates so much passion and why it bothers me that they add a game. They're at 17 games. You got to add a Monday night wild card game. We need a new day, Thursday night. No, leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Leave that.
Less is more when it comes to the NFL. All right, let's actually talk about this Eagle team in this game coming up on Sunday. As per the course, shortly after we got off the air yesterday, the Eagles activated Dallas Goedert from the COVID-19 list. I was looking for a Johnny Mac missive during the show. So I just received an email. Dallas Goedert's been activated.
I was driving down to the facility. Yeah, but it was day 10. So I thought I did the math right, and magically that was the key. So as long as Dallas was doing fine and wasn't actually sick, he was going to be back on day 10, and that's kind of how it happened.
And it did. He was out there on the field with the team, but he was not a full participant. He got some work in on the sidelines, did some running, but he did not fully participate with the offense during their practice yesterday. So whether he plays on Sunday is still in question.
No, he's playing. Trust me on that. He was just ramping up. Yeah, he's going to play. Well, nothing's a given, but it's not going to be because he's not ready to play from the COVID list. You can get hurt and walk through, everything can happen. We just saw Lane Johnson be scratched 2 hours before a game, but the Eagles are planning on him playing Sunday in Las Vegas.
All right, we'll see. And the one thing we will not know until the game starts is he at 100%? Now, if he's at 98, nobody's going to know the difference between 100 and 98. But if he's still feeling the effects and he's not at 100, well, then that could certainly affect his ability to make plays on Sunday against the Raider defense.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that is an illness that, affects people different ways. And some people don't even, it doesn't affect them at all. And other people are affected for a long time. So it really is uncertain. And that's why he had the ramp up period yesterday. That's why they didn't throw him right back into practice. They wanted to make sure he had a little bit of time to work on conditioning more than anything else. But yeah, until you see somebody get back on the field, you don't know. And especially it's a respiratory disease. So, that could affect your conditioning first and foremost, more than anything else if you don't have your wind.
So, J-Mac, I asked you this question yesterday. What percentage of snaps do you think Dallas Goedert is going to play in this upcoming game? And there'll be a couple plays where they'll go 4 wide and he won't be on the field. But most time the Eagles have a tight end. When Zach Ertz was still here, there was very few 4 wide sets. There were more 12 personnel than there were 4 wide. So I asked you what percentage. You said 85 to 90%. You think Goedert would be out there, and I agreed with you on that. Well, that does leave 15%, either 4 wide and or someone else on the field, maybe even a little 12, 2 tight end, for 3rd and 1. Will the Eagles actually run the ball on the 3rd and 1?
That's Jack Stoll, baby. Jack Stoll.
Question. Is Jack Stoll the given to be that guy?
He's the given if you want a blocker out there. To me, the more interesting part of this week is how quickly are they going to get Tyree Jackson back in the mix. They started this 21-day window, so they can activate him at any time. They could activate him Saturday. They would have to do that before the game. Same with Kayvon Wallace, but with Tyree, it's more of a question because he's been out for 2 months essentially. But man, Howie Roseman keeps bringing him up without being prompted. Nick Sirianni, Shane Steichen, everybody's raving about this kid. It's pretty clear they want to see him, and they want to see him play. So if he's capable of playing, I think they're going to activate him. The question is, how much of a ramp-up period does he need? And getting back to Goedert, I'm probably, because of what happened yesterday and they started him out so slowly, I'm going to scale that back to about 80 as my over-under. Maybe he's not 100% from a conditioning standpoint. But if it's not, remember they brought Richard Rodgers back as well. They could elevate him from the practice squad. You have those 2 practice squad elevations. They have Noah Tagai as well back, so they have options. But it's pretty clear they want Dallas out there the majority of the time, and Jack Stoll has already crafted out a role as sort of a blocker, plays fullback sometimes even down at the goal line, and then depends what you want. If Tyree's not going, I would think they would want to elevate Richard Rodgers, but he just got back, and Noah was active last week, but I don't think he had a snap. I have to look at that. He might have not played. Yeah, he didn't play. So he was he was active, but he's just got back here and he didn't play against the Buccaneers.
They activated 4 tight ends last week?
No, Dallas was out.
Goddard was out. Goddard didn't play, right? My bad.
Yeah, so Zach was still there. They had Jack Stoll and Noah was the 3rd tight end. Richard Rodgers was in Arizona at the time.
Right.
So
they hadn't brought him back yet. It will be very interesting. Now, you guys got to see some practice yesterday. Do you time it when you go out there? Do you look at your watch and make sure you know what time they kick you off as to? Because the NFL is so regimented and regulated about time, how much time you can practice. It's all collectively bargained. I know you guys don't have a collective bargaining agreement with the Eagles.
We actually do.
They dictate to you.
We have the pro football writers have. It's not but we have an agreement with the NFL that teams have to follow certain rules. It's not collectively bargained, obviously, but there is an agreement. But it's not about time, though. It's about what they're doing. So, we're allowed out there for stretching, and we're allowed out there for some individual work. And the minute team drills start, we're out. So, more than time, like Fridays, for instance, today, the Eagles do a walkthrough. We're out. We're in there for 5 minutes. On Wednesday, when you have a longer practice, we're out there for 20, 25 minutes. So it's not the timing more as what they're doing. And as soon as they get into teamwork, that's CIA level stuff, Joe. Right. We can't watch that.
The reason why I asked was I was inquisitive to see if you could get a read on Tyree Jackson as to how far along in the now overused phrase ramp up process he is there?
I've gotten he looks fine, and that's why I put it in the mix. He looks ready to go. He looks completely healthy, and if they want to look at him, and it seems pretty evident they want to look at him because you have it from 3 different people, how excited they are to see what he can bring. I see no reason other than the mental part of it. But obviously he's a developmental player anyway. So, quarterback, shifting to tight end. So from a physical standpoint, I mean, he's been out there before they started this window. He's been out on the field while the team is practicing, working on side fields with trainers. He's looked very close for a while. So, from a physical standpoint, he looks fine.
And one of you guys, and when I say you guys, I'm referring to you and your fellow Eagle beat reporters, who I would love to give credit to, but I'm just too forgetful to remember whose banner I read it under. Could have been BLG, could have been Jimmy Kempski. Made the note, and it hadn't dawned on me because, again, I'm not an Eagle beat reporter like you guys. Tyree Jackson has caught very few passes from Jalen Hurts. Yeah. That he did all of his preseason work with the quote-unquote second unit, which means he had a good working relationship with Joe Flacco, which means nothing right about now because we're not planning on seeing Joe Flacco. Well, I say we. That'd be you and me, not you, me, and Marcus Hayes. So at some point, Jalen Hurts needs to get up to speed with Tyree Jackson, or more well said, Tyree Jackson needs to get up to speed with Jalen Hurts. That's something they need to work out in practice before they throw him into the deep end of the pool, don't they?
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to get him involved with the first team offense, but I would argue, well, they don't use Zach Ertz when he was here, and Dallas Goedert like they should. So why would they use Tyree Jackson if they can't get the football to those guys pretty consistently? And then we're back to the chicken and the egg. They don't throw the football in the middle of the field. That's where tight ends do most of their work. So, yeah, it might be, we can talk about looking at Tyree Jackson. You don't throw the football in the middle of the field. What's he going to do? Is he going to play receivers? Is he going to outside the numbers? Maybe it doesn't matter. Unless they change.
They can split him out a little bit. I think he'll be more Zach Ertz-like than he will be Dallas Goedert.
He's not blocking anybody. Let's be honest.
The point I'm trying to make. All right, he's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald with the Mac and Mac guys. I see our first guest is ready to join us. He'll be up when we get back from this timeout. Our buddy Bob Grotz from the Delco Times. Next here on Birds 365.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope. John Doherty, business manager of Local 98, says it this way: the best way not to forget where you come from is to never leave.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. 1 free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
The savoring taste of a good bag of beef jerky is so enjoyable at any time of the day, as long as you can find it. Here's what we suggest. Pure Bull Beef Jerky is our answer, and soon it will be yours. Locally produced in the Philadelphia region, this high-quality, healthy protein snack is easy to secure. Go to steersnacks.com, and you'll see hot garlic, tropical heat, Pure Bull dry rub, and our favorite, Huck and Fod. What's that? Huck and Fod. Go now to steersnacks.com.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Appreciate you jumping aboard Birds 365 here on the JAKIB YouTube channel with Mac and Mac, McMullen and McDonald. We are joined by an esteemed colleague, or at least he thinks so. Now, we're only kidding. We love whenever Bob Grotz joins us.
Very esteemed. He's got no. You're on mute, Bob.
Let's see if you can
We
push
can't hear you.
This is not a YouTube problem. This is not an unforced error.
This is a Bob Grotz unforced error. We're seeing it live. We're seeing it live, and he can hear me. Let's see if this goes.
He can hear you. Hopefully he can hear me. The question is, can we hear him? That's what we need. We got to be able to see Bob Grotz. He's a handsome man, but we really do bring him on for his
Bob,
verbal
click
insight.
out and click back in. Maybe that works. Click out and click back in. Hopefully we get him back. Bob is hilarious, by
See,
the way.
you know what? You know how this all started, McMullen? It's my fault. This is on me. I said it wasn't a great football Friday because I don't think the Eagles are going to win.
I'm usually the pessimistic one, and Bob's even more pessimistic than me.
Right.
You're supposed to be the
I'm the happy tune here, and I'm singing a sour one because I think the Eagles are going to lose. And this ties into the point you made because you said, well, at least it's a potentially winnable game. Was it a potential winnable game against the Chiefs? Probably not. Was it a potential winnable game against the Bucs? Probably not. This should be a potentially winnable game. Maybe that's why it's annoying me so much because you're right. The argument you make, the stance you're taking is on point. Yeah, I don't think the Eagles are going to win. Grotz is probably going to love me today because that is the case. All right, we got a smiling face. The question is, can we hear Bob Grotz?
Yeah, well, you still got the mute thing there.
Can you really tell that by looking at his screen? That
he's got that. See, the microphone has the X out on it.
Did you see that? You got better eyes than me. I couldn't see that on his screen.
Yeah, I don't have great. I tell that to my wife. She claims I don't see anything. Although that might be, not wanting to see certain things more than anything else.
Selective loss of vision.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. I couldn't think of that.
Good.
It's not good for a journalist. Can't think of a word, Joe.
No, but it could be good. I think.
Here we go.
There we go.
There he is. Yeah.
Third time is a charm.
Man in the house.
Yeah, I got the handheld, guys.
Yeah. Oh, we got the hand. We had to change. All right.
Am I allowed to say that on your show, the handheld?
Yes, absolutely. This is YouTube. You say whatever you want.
Thank God for that.
I'm not going to go unforced error there like Nick Sirianni. I think that was a technical error. We had some technical errors. It's Technical Error Friday.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, we got Bob Grotz. That's exciting.
Hey, how about this, guys? I got to get this off my head, off my mind here. Howie Roseman sends an investigator down to Houston to check out Deshaun Watson. Yeah. That's got to inspire confidence.
By the way,
in Deshaun, right?
By the way,
a guy snooping around.
I'm 98% sure how he's sent down to Houston. And I don't know if investigator is the best term, but I digress.
Well, hold on. You guys got more info than I have. I need more information. Do we know who this investigator is?
Right. I think I know.
John thinks he does. I wonder if they sent Nick down there, over the mini bye week, go down there and see what you can sniff out there, Nick.
Yeah, go down. They did this months ago.
But how about that? I mean, isn't that the best way to get someone to want to come to your team, investigate them?
Well, in the Eagles' defense, you have to investigate the guy.
Well,
I mean, you have to.
Hold on. Are you telling me he didn't send Howard Eskin down? Is that
would have been good?
I don't think
Howard's a crack report. He gets to the bottom of things.
That's a long
trip. To the bottom of it.
That's a long trip.
Maybe they just called up Daryl Morey. He's got a lot of contacts in Houston. Maybe he knows. But
he's the last guy I would call right now. You believe he brought that problem into the locker room? I mean, that's too much. That's another story for another show. But I'm not faulting him for that whole saga, but he's got a part in this.
Well, let's talk about Deshaun Watson since we brought him up. And, the Eagles have had interest in him dating back months, and Jeffrey Lurie has evidently given the all clear, but Deshaun Watson hasn't given the all clear. Deshaun Watson doesn't want to play here. So why do people keep talking about it? I guess they're going to keep talking about it until he ends up in Miami.
Yeah, because the Eagles are 2-4, and there's going to be a lot. It's not just the Eagles after this year, but there's going to be a lot of teams looking at quarterbacks. I mean, if you just check around, I mean, you can't tell me that Carolina's not going to want another quarterback. Just looking at the teams that they played, Atlanta, they need a quarterback. There's a lot of that. I mean, it's going to be a real. The market is going to be it's going to be exacerbated by this need in the offseason. And that's if you want ready-made quarterbacks, some of the good guys. But you bring those guys in and you expend a lot of resources doing it. And what kind of a window are you going to have? And I heard a part of your show the other day with Marcus Hayes, because I just had to. I don't know how I got there, but it was pretty good.
I love Marcus.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
And Jody called him out because he said you're going to waste the window of guys like Fletcher Cox, and I was thinking, what window?
Okay,
that thing is done.
I'm going to have to do battle with field growth. All right, before we do that, though, here's one thing that you alluded to. We've been talking about it forever, but I don't know why it struck me differently today. Deshaun Watson's desire to come here to Philadelphia, that it's being reported, you guys, others, that he has no real desire to come to Philadelphia. But he's good with Miami. And Bob Grotz just said, yeah, the Eagles are 2-4. Miami's 1-5.
Yeah.
The Dolphins are worse than the Eagles.
Well,
so is it South Beach? Is it the weather? Why is going to Miami a good thing for Deshaun Watson?
Yes.
But God forbid he come to Philadelphia, where they only won a Super Bowl 4 years ago.
Can I take
the
this?
Dolphins won their last Super Bowl, 30 years ago?
You take this, Bob.
I'll take this. Stephen Ross.
Yeah.
That's why he wants to go there.
He'll
be the king of that kingdom. I mean, and they got a young team. I think who has a better chance to win in the next couple years, the Eagles or Miami? So, and I think I'm not positive on this. I'm not 100%, but I think he has some sort of affinity for Brian Flores, the coach. I think he can relate to the guy, and he looked like a real up and coming star before this year. And I think probably those Deshaun Watson rumors, I don't see how they could settle Tua. And Fitzpatrick wasn't there. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he wasn't there to kind of calm things down and remind everyone that it was a business. So I think you had a little bit of that. And they got some tough breaks with injuries too, like a lot of teams do. But if you ask me, I'd have to take a better look at the roster, I guess. But I think they have a better chance to win in the next 2, 3, 4 years than the Eagles.
Yeah, and I don't even think it's a football-related decision. It's a personal preference. He's got business interests down there, and that's, John McMullen has said he's comfortable in that area. If there is no taxes, all that, the weather, all that plays into it. Bob's right, though, with Brian Flores. And Stephen Ross loves the guy. So.
He'll give him whatever he wants. Yeah. I mean, he'll do whatever it takes. Now, won't have as many resources, but I don't think right now, to me, the Eagles are not the preferred destination, for a Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, that type of thing. Deshaun Watson. I don't think they're the preferred destination. So I don't know if that.
I don't think
Watson's
it's Eagles
problem,
related as much as an individual decision. Each individual decision is a little bit different. Rodgers wants to be on the West Coast. The 49ers are stupid. They're stupid 15 different times. He'd love to play for them, but they won't wait.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into that, but you got to ask yourself why the Eagles would be a preferred destination right now for an elite type quarterback. And I'm all ears.
Well, it's not looking good right now.
Let me say this. The Philadelphia Eagles have supposedly sent down an investigator to see if they can get some background information on this whole Deshaun Watson mess. Is perhaps the reason he doesn't want to come to Philadelphia? Miami has better masseuses?
That's the easy
joke. That is a moving.
And by the way, I think they do. So if that is
given it, then Jeff Lurie's got to upgrade his masseuse game here in town. Come on, Jeff, pull some strings. Get some key masseuses here in Philadelphia.
There's an NFL owner joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of jokes in there, but I'm going to get myself in trouble if I go down that. I can give you some addresses, but I'm going to get myself in trouble if I do.
And I'll give him some more time here. I'll give Jalen Hurts some more time, but I'm starting to wonder if he really is the answer too. And I think that this offense that they're running right now, I don't know how they're going to change the whole thing. Well, you can't change the whole thing during the mini bye, the break here. But I just think it's too predictable. And while Hurts has been really good in the red zone, particularly inside the 10-yard line this year, the rest of that field, he's just the decision making and in that offense, and I can't blame. I don't know who to blame there. I don't know whether that's all he can do is really well as the red zone in close, or the rest is it the offense, the rest of the field. There's just so many issues there, and so many different types of breakdowns that it's really hard to sort that out. But I just had that feeling right now that with all that draft capital the Eagles have, and this not exactly breaking news, but I think they're going to bring in another guy next year.
All right. The Eagles had extra time to self-scout, self-evaluate this week because they had the Thursday night game against the Dolphins. I need you to give me a possibility, Bob Grotz. Is there a chance that with all these extra days and extra hours of available tape work and consultation, somehow, some way they came up with the concept of, hey, why don't we run the football more than we do? Is there any chance that came out of all of this self-evaluation?
Yeah, I definitely do. If you look at some of the Raiders games, their next opponent, they don't do a great job stopping the run. Especially between the tackles. That'll be interesting. And I think Miles Sanders could hit some of those against this team. So, I think they got a shot this week. Just looking at the Raiders, wow. I mean, all that turnover, that change from Gruden to Bisaccia, yeah, he's still getting used to wearing the headphones. He couldn't find a comfortable way to adjust to that mic and all that stuff. I mean, that's clearly Derek Carr's team. It's like he's kind of like the player coach right now. So they definitely have a shot this week. I think running I think it's probably going to be back on the table a little bit. I don't know how they're going to, that read option. I wonder if there's going to be a little bit less of that. But we're still looking at some of the same things with that offense. I mean, in terms of you can't change everything. They kind of are who they are. So I don't know. You're just going to have to bite the bullet, I think. And but I do think they have a shot. I mean, this could get, if the Raiders make a few mistakes and they really don't. But they're due. I think they're 4 turnovers. That's it. I think they have the fewest turnovers in the league. So, but the good part about that, they're all interceptions. So, and the Eagles can have picked off some passes. Just a lot of stuff. In terms of the bye with the players, Jody, I just get the feeling that they just really needed to chill. I don't know how much football work they did. The coaches looked at some stuff and how much that can help you in a few days. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how much the coaches did either out of group text. Well, Michael Clay was golfing, so that revelation by Nick Sirianni about you're watching games. Obviously, he was watching on his phone. You're trying to do some of your outside football work, and you're watching games. And then you start texting your colleagues, and that's kind of a learning tool. That's the way I took it. Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, man. It'd be like.
By the way, if I were on that group text, I would mute that group text. I'm trying to watch the game. Clowns, get off here.
Well, I would mute it. I would mute it because I don't want it being used against me like 50 years later.
That's a good point as well. Now, I do want to rewind to Jalen Hurts for a couple of reasons. One, you said, and I agree with you, it's tough to figure out what the issue is here. But we do have now all the Deshaun Watson stuff bubbling up. It'll be done good or bad by November 2nd because he's either got to get moved or he's staying in Houston for the rest of the season on ice. But Jalen Hurts has got to hear these things too. He knows the Eagles are not all in on him. And, he's a very even-tempered guy. You think that's affecting him? And then the offense as a whole, Bob, you mentioned, if I had to pin you down and force you, is it the scheme or is it the quarterback? In other words, is Nick Sirianni trying to protect the quarterback or is this just a terrible offense? What's your best guess?
I hate to do this thing, but I think it's both of those entities. I think you have a coaching staff that's trying to figure out what he does best, and they think they know, but they don't really know. Struggled in some of those decisions, that they lead to what do they call them, off schedule plays, and that.
Yeah, off schedule.
I mean, too many times he just it just takes like a certain look, even like not a zone blitz or something, and it just blows up the play. And this shouldn't be happening as much as it happens. So and all it takes is a couple of those to in a quarter to just kind of short circuit the offense. And Nick was talking about how you have to run so many plays before you understand what the defense is doing, and if you had 3 and outs, it takes longer because you only had 3 plays and 3 plays. That type of thing. We're really starting to get into an area that if I was a coach, I'd feel uncomfortable talking about that. I would just go back to I got to do a better job and that type of thing. And Nick still is learning about being a head coach in Philadelphia, and that Jason Kelsey rant the other day. I mean,
was awesome.
that was directed at athletes, but I mean, I think a lot of people have to take a look at that, and realize, like what their role is, and I'm talking about the coaching staff. Like, you guys, you're not part of the players, you're trying to connect with the players and everything, but you're the coaches, and you got to. I think that line is blurred a little bit too. So you need more urgency, and I think they got to be a little bit tougher on these guys.
All right, both of you guys beating up on the offense pretty good, and they deserve it. I'm not suggesting that you're.
I can't even get to the defense.
Well, I'm going to try and get to the defense because I saw this great stat from our buddy Ruben Franks that I hadn't noticed I should have. That the Eagles have played 6 games so far. 3 times this year, the opposing team's quarterback has completed 80% or more of his passes. 80, not 65, not 68, not 70, not 70. 80% of his passes or more. Now they're pretty talented guys named Mahomes and Brady.
Yeah,
they're very good players, but 80%. How is that zone defense that Jonathan Gannon's running working if the other team's quarterback is allowed to complete 80% of his passes?
Yeah, those are all elite guys. You have to put a couple of asterisks in there, and look at the receivers too, Jody. I mean that, and when I watch some of these games, these other games on TV, and I see the scores and the points run up and everything, and it still comes down to a stop here or there. And that's what they've not been able to do, make that critical stop. But I mean, that stat is nasty, that 80% stat. And but they weren't really in those games, if you ask me. They think they were, but I don't think they were in the Dallas game. And I think they were just always playing from behind and against Kansas City, and definitely even against Tampa, and Tampa just wanted to get the game over with. So I don't think they need to get that signature stop. It doesn't have to be a goal line play, but that signature stop, the way they did in, say, the Carolina game, where they intercepted Darnold at the end of that game, and or they against Atlanta, that was totally different. So can the defense do that against teams that are, not the elite teams? I think they can do that. And I got to admit, this team, the talent level on that, I had a lot of questions coming into the year. It's not as bad as I thought it was, the talent level. But all that said, I still think the rest of this year is a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say to Jody, I'll add in that the Eagles' goal is to stop explosive plays in the passing game. They've largely done that. If you go back to the Tampa game, the Antonio Brown play was 27 yards. That was the longest passing play of the game. You go back to Kansas City until the end when they broke Tyree. Here's the problem with the Eagles defense. They're trying to play the bend but don't break, but they break. They don't come up with the play. They don't come up to play with the stop it. Alex Singleton was talking about this yesterday. That's why I don't give the defense as much blame as the offense. They're accomplishing what they want to do. They're just not making the play. With the offense, I don't know what they're trying to do. Does that make sense to either of you? You're looking at me like I'm crazy.
No, I hear what you're saying, John, but here's the problem. If you die by a gash across the throat, that's one thing. If you die by a gash of 1,000 little paper cuts, guess what? At the end of the day, there's an autopsy going on. Death is death. It doesn't matter how you die. When you die, and Eagles defense has died too much this year.
But at least I can see the plan. They're not executing the plan. They're not being successful with the plan on too many occasions. But at least I know what they're trying to accomplish. I don't know what the hell the offense is trying to accomplish on a week-to-week basis. That's why I'm more concerned with that side of the ball.
Yeah, there are a lot of that last game. What was that block? It was like 5 or 6 3-and-outs and an interception. How can you that put me to sleep almost. And, I couldn't imagine calling all those plays if I was Nick Sirianni. So,
bubble screen, slip screen, regular screen.
Yeah, you just know, what the repertoire is, and that's why I don't really know whether they're gonna just change the way that they do this whole thing. But Jody, I think you will see some more runs this week. Yeah, more than we've seen. So
you have to almost.
Yeah, you got to do something. You got to do something with to keep Derek Carr, to keep him off the field a little bit. Once he gets in a rhythm, he'll cut you to pieces.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, leading, if you go by yardage, leading passer in the National Football League, Tom Brady, aided by being able to throw it all over the Eagles last Thursday. Number 2, Derek Carr. So 2 weeks running, they played against one of the top 2 quarterbacks in the National Football League when it comes to yardage through the airways. Not good for the Birds.
Their Super Bowl. Their Super Bowl is in 2 weeks, Jody.
The what?
The Eagles Super Bowl is in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Detroit against the Lions.
We're talking Lions here? Okay.
Yeah, that's their Super Bowl.
Dan Campbell. There's a guy I'm absolutely taking Nick Sirianni over. Coaching matchup, Eagles-Lions at Vantage, Philadelphia.
I don't know. You got Deuce there. Deuce Staley. Dave Pip.
Deuce also a member of the 0-6 Lions staff. So sorry, Deuce, you're guilty by association. Let me take it completely out to left field. John kind of he laughed at me the other day because I got perturbed by Howie Roseman just blatantly looking in the camera and lying and saying, well, I don't look at us as sellers just because we traded Zach Ertz, a contributing member to our offense, which has enough issues to begin with. We're giving opportunities to our other young players, Tyree, Jackson, and this great young cornerback who couldn't get on the field for the Arizona Cardinals over 6 games, despite the fact that they got injuries up the Yahoo at the cornerback position. But no, we're adding. We're not sellers here. It was a blatant sell. It was an unquestioned sell in my mind. And I understand he can't come out and just say, yeah, we're packed it in already. We've given up for the year. So he's got to be very judicious in the way that he says this. Let me flip the script completely. What's the chance that if the Eagles win this week, which I don't think is going to happen, John doesn't think is going to happen, sounds like you don't think it's going to happen either, Bob, but we're all surprised and Eagles get a win. Any chance they turn to buyers leading up to the NFL draft? And I'm not talking about Deshaun Watson. I'm talking about using some of that $22 million cap room they have to get a player who can help them win this year.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't. And I thought that this was just a culture building year from the beginning. So the answer would be no. And I still think they may end up dealing somebody like Derek Barnett. They don't have his rights next year. Someone you might be able to get something for that. You might be able to get a second-day pick for him, a pass rusher. They kind of made it clear that they think Josh Sweat is the future. So I wouldn't be surprised if they dealt another guy or two. Like although there's, you look at that roster, who you're going to want that's reliable, that doesn't get hurt. So, but I think Barnett, if he's healthy, and again I say that, what is he? He's got a foot injury, John. So he'd still have to pass the physical, right?
Yeah.
But
the problem with Derek is he makes too much money. I don't think because he makes $10 million.
I could see a contender though.
Yeah, I think plenty of teams would want him, but I don't know if the value is going to be there as a second-day pick just because of the contract. Steven Nelson is a guy. Steve Nelson, because he doesn't make a lot of money. He's only on a 1-year deal. He's playing well. Everybody needs corners in this league. There's injured corners on contenders all over the place. I think he might be the underrated guy that might go.
That would be the direction that I would go. I mean, I still don't. I don't think they're going to the playoffs. And if you look at the way that they play, they're not a playoff team. And they have to identify the quarterback. To me, that's still the most compelling question.
Yeah,
who's going to be the quarterback? I don't think they're sold on it. Hurts. The coach has been pretty clear. Like he kind of put out a checklist on Jalen Hurts, so we know when he's playing well and when he isn't. And when he's off schedule and running around, he's not running the offense. So and that happens about maybe at least close to half the time. And I'm not saying it's all his fault. There have been some other problems. They shuffled guys along that offensive line, and that doesn't help. They got some young receivers that some of them still don't know how to run routes. I think Devonta Smith is definitely the route runner guy there. So they got a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts. But still, that that off schedule stuff. Once we see him, Jalen Hurts play under more control, I think then we'll be able to make an evaluation.
Here's what I'm waiting for. We get back to Doug Peterson. Let the offense work for you. I'm waiting for Nick Sirianni to drop that. He's getting really close to dropping that with Jalen Hurts because he's getting a little frustrated about the off-schedule stuff and about giving up on plays too early. You can sense that.
I just think this RPO stuff, I don't know, man. It's too collegiate, this is not something that I've heard other people say it. They're not. I mean, they used to. I heard one guy, refer to it as a high school offense. Like
Seth.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if Seth said that, but
it was Seth Joyner on Eagle Post Game Show. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's I mean, and what is a high school offense? It's predictable. I'll tell you that.
I want both of you guys' reads on this one because it bothers me greatly. If there's a bigger Devontae fan in town, I'd like them to step forward because I was a huge fan before he ever became a Philadelphia Eagle when he was still at Alabama. And I was saying he's better than Henry Ruggs, who the Eagles will see this week, and Jerry Jeudy, and Waddle, who went before him in the draft. I've loved this kid since 3 years ago at Alabama. His numbers so far this year are okay. They're not awe-inspiring. They're not off the charts good. Pro Football Focus came out with their list of the top 15 rookies in the NFL so far this year after 6 games. He's nowhere to be seen on it. He's got to take some of the blame. Hurts has got to take some of the blame. Sirianni's got to take some of the blame.
Yeah.
Who's the biggest one to take the blame?
I think the quarterback. And I think he's got plenty of arm too to make the throws, and I think he's shown us that he can make the throws. But I don't think he's. My feeling right now, he's not running the offense really well, and except like I was saying, inside the red zone when he gets in there, the last few games, he's been lethal in there. I don't understand why that doesn't translate to the rest of the field.
Let's see. I'm trying to figure out who is most to blame for this mess. There's so many to choose from. I think it's too early, too easy to lean on the quarterback. But where else can you lean? I mean, where else can he go? I acknowledge what you just said, Jody, that the receivers stink except for Devonta.
Yeah.
The tight ends were good when they had Zach Ertz. Are still good with Dallas Goedert, but they don't use them. But I think that's because of the quarterback, and they don't use the running back, which I think is a little bit from column A, a little bit coaching, a little bit quarterback. So all of that, yeah, I would have to go quarterback more than coach, which is where I've been throughout the whole thing.
Bob Grotz, as always, a pleasure. Whenever you come on, we got this mute thing down. Have your handheld, and we're perfectly within our rights to use handheld all we want here on YouTube, since we tried to break down the masseuse difference between Miami and Philadelphia. We can go handheld without a problem here on YouTube. Grotzy, always a pleasure, buddy. Thanks for coming on. We'll hit you back up in a couple of weeks.
All right. I'll see you guys.
Thanks, Bob.
Bob Grotz doing the best Halloween impersonation. I love the dark backdrop behind him. Once we got his voice on, we knew we were ready to rock. All right, John McMullen, Jody McDonald, your Mac guys. We've got a good guest coming up now, hour number 2 as well. One of our buds. We will talk to Paul Domowitch, longtime Eagle beat writer who's jumping in and out and got a project coming up with our own John McMullen. We'll give you details on that and get Damo's insight to the Eagles and the Raiders coming up on Sunday. We'll do all that in hour number 2 here at Birds 365.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope. John Doherty, business manager of Local 98, says it this way: the best way not to forget where you come from is to never leave.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. 1 free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
The savoring taste of a good bag of beef jerky is so enjoyable at any time of the day, as long as you can find it. Here's what we suggest. Pure Bull Beef Jerky is our answer, and soon it will be yours. Locally produced in the Philadelphia region, this high-quality, healthy protein snack is easy to secure. Go to steersnacks.com, and you'll see hot garlic, tropical heat, Pure Bull dry rub, and our favorite, Huck and Fod. What's that? Huck and Fod. Go now to steersnacks.com.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Back aboard Birds 365 on a football Friday. At least in my opinion, not a good football Friday because I'm picking Eagles to lose. I think they're going out to Vegas. What stays in Vegas, what happens in Vegas, is supposed to stay in Vegas. Unfortunately, the loss is going to come back to the East Coast with the Eagles. I see them at 2-5, and I hope I'm wrong. God, I hope I'm wrong, because I asked this question of Bob Grotz. I didn't get your take on it, so I'll ask you now, J-Mac. Let's say McDonald's an idiot, and the Eagles go out there and not only win, but look pretty good. The offense is improved. They actually run the ball and move the sticks and keep the other team's offense on the bench, and the defense, not only in the one game that they've had this year where they actually bent but didn't break, against Carolina, there's another defensive effort like that. I'm kind of doubting it because Derek Carr is better than Sam Darnold. But Derek Carr has a bad day. Things go the Eagles' way. They come up huge defensively, and they have a nice and impressive win to get to 3-4. Is there any chance that Jeffrey Lurie walks into Howie Roseman's office on Monday and says, hey, we're in this? The Giants lost again, which I think will happen. They're buried. The Washington football team lost again, which I think will happen. They're not winning in Green Bay. Dallas doesn't play this week. They're on a bye, but we're still in this, Howie. We've got $22 million in cap room right now. We could go out and actually get someone who can help this team win. Why don't we use some of those huge assets we got? That all-important fifth-round pick that we got from
wow, I sneezed.
Arizona.
First time ever on the air. I sneezed, Jody, by the way.
I don't know if I have or haven't. But they've got some draft capital that they could use. Is there any chance the Eagles actually become buyers in this market, J-Mac?
Other than Deshaun Watson and the miracle change and the miracle, okay, I'll play in Philadelphia. I don't think so. I give the Eagles credit for this. I think they've been disciplined. I've talked about you got to be disciplined. Look, they're going to be in it. If you talk about that last wild card, because there's the extra wild card, you're going to be about a 500 team. You might get in at 9-8. You might get in at 8-9. Who knows how it shakes out in the NFC? Right now, it's 3-3. The last wild card team is 3-3. The Eagles are 2-4. They're in it. Now, there's a bunch of teams because of tiebreakers. They've lost to, San Francisco's of the world. That's a difficult loss. Tampa Bay, you don't have to worry because they're probably going to win the division. They beat Carolina.
It would be Dallas. Dallas is going to run away.
Dallas is going to win the division.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. Carolina matters, although they seem to be going in a negative direction pretty quickly. But they're going to be in it. So if in it is described as last wild card spot, I don't think that's really all that relevant to the long term. Great. If you make it and you get some experience, playoff experience, and get blown out by Tampa Bay or wherever the number 2 seed is, great. But I don't think you can get caught up in that fool's gold and say, hey, we're really, really close. No, you gotta be disciplined. And I think the Eagles are being disciplined. And that's a positive from my perspective, to be honest. I don't think they should be worried about bringing a veteran back unless the veteran is the FU player I always talk about. And there's only one FU player out there, and we all know, and they're involved, and they've tried to be involved since the very beginning, and they're probably not going to be able to get it done. And that's fine. But you got to have multiple plans.
All right. I'll throw a player out there for you that I think is darn close to an FU player, but he probably will not be judged as an FU player here in Philadelphia. I think the Eagles actually need to improve their linebackers.
That's certainly true.
Right. They haven't done it in 2 years, 4 years, 8 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Been a long time since the Eagles putting emphasis on linebacker. And maybe, just maybe, while Nick Sirianni and his guys were doing self-scouting this week, Howie Roseman did some self-scouting and came up with the point of view that, hey, we've been underestimating linebackers here for a while. Maybe we could adjust our thinking there. C.J. Mosley of the Jets, I think, is one of the best linebackers in football. He was before he signed with the Jets. He had a season-ending injury, and I think it was I'm a Jet fan, and I should know this. I think it was week 1, but it might have been week 2 of the season. Not last year, but the year before. He decided to pass on all of last year. He opted out because of COVID. He's back and playing tremendous football for the Jets. And no one is noticing because the Jets stink. And they're 1-5, and they're never the national TV game. I noticed because, I follow the Jets. But he is playing dynamite football again. He's a guy who's, if not 30, he might be 29, but I think he's 30, so he's not a young guy. But is a difference maker on the field. Could a guy like that interest the Philadelphia Eagles if the Jets are just looking to go completely on the rebuild, which they're half-heartedly in it anyway? They have their quarterback. Now they got years to be able to build the team around him. Maybe they prefer to go younger, and they see Mosley as only having a year or two left at that top competitive level. Would the Eagles do something like that and actually acknowledge, linebackers are kind of important in the NFL?
Well, not with that player. I hope that, he just makes too much money. They just don't value that position. If you go back to the original contract that CJ signed, and he's a good player. He's a really good player with the Jets. He's one of those guys that they're never going to be involved with because they don't value that position. Same thing when you talk about the draft and a Devin White type who's a top 10 pick. They're never going to be in that conversation. They're never going to be in the conversation with top of the line linebackers from a money perspective.
Let me interrupt you, John, and I'll let you finish your point, but I need to specifically now focus this. You said they don't value that position. Who's they?
The Eagles organization. So, every organization has a strategy. Every organization.
Well, who formulates that strategy?
Howie Roseman's in charge of football
Howie Roseman.
Yeah, Howie's.
So do you think he only hires people to work underneath him who follow in line and go, linebackers aren't important?
No, I think, for instance, Jonathan Gannon would say, I need better linebackers. Now, if he says, I need CJ Mosley, Howard Roseman's going to come back and say, he might even say, I like CJ Mosley as a player. I'm not paying a guy $17.5 million to play linebacker next year because we don't value that in position from a roster building standpoint. In other words, you have to allocate your assets in a certain way. Every team, let's be honest, the easy one is quarterback is obviously the most valuable position. Everybody agrees on that.
Yep.
From there, it's probably edge rusher. And then it starts to depend, on teams. The Eagles value the offensive line and defensive line more than probably anybody else in the NFL. A lot of teams value corners in the modern NFL. Some teams value linebackers. You really get the running back on the offensive side, linebacker on the defensive side is where you have the giant gesticulation. Some teams just do not care about running backs and do not care about linebackers. The Eagles would be in that category on both sides of the football. And it's usually the more analytically driven teams. There's always exceptions, though. There's always exceptions. And for the Eagles, I always point out Christian McCaffrey. They were taking Christian McCaffrey in the first round of the 2017 draft if by some miracle he was going to fall to them. And that's a running back, but he's a different type of running back. He's obviously, people forget because he hasn't played in so long, but he's a better route runner than 95% of the receivers in this league. He's a very, very unique player. Could that player develop at the linebacker position down the road? Maybe that player could show up, but he's not showing up as a 29-year-old guy who's already making, was already scheduled to make $17 million. That would have to happen in the draft on a specific year when there's a player that they go, wow, okay, this guy, we don't like this. And to a certain extent, that happened this year, Jody, with receiver, because they don't value receiver either. But they said, well, this guy's a little bit different. Now, receiver isn't to the lower degree of running back or linebacker, but still, they don't want to take a receiver at number 10 overall. If there was a big-time edge rusher that they thought could be a difference maker, they would have defaulted in that direction. They just didn't see that type of player. So, I mean, can there be a Christian McCaffrey? Can there be a unicorn? Yes, but it's going to happen in the draft.
Here's why, and maybe I'm just too big a Mosley guy, and I know he doesn't fit the Eagles' line of thinking. You seem to, we seem to agree, maybe more so you than me, that they're going to pay Dallas Goedert whatever the hell they need to pay Dallas Goedert to keep him here. They've just parted ways with Zach Ertz. They think Goedert is a top tight end in the league. I think he's a top 10 tight end. I don't think he's a top 5 tight end. And we both acknowledge that it's when you come to the table, when you sit down, what kind of number you're going to get paid. They're going to overpay this guy. So if they're worried about keeping their salary cap in place, that they can't pay a linebacker, God forbid you pay a linebacker $17 million, I think they're going to pay Goedert 15 or 16. And I believe Mosley is a more effective player, more of a game changer, positions aside, than a guy like Dallas Goedert, which means if I were the Eagles, I would rethink my policy of not paying linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I mean, I'm just trying to give you the thought process of what I know from this organization. That's not even going to be a conversation. I mean, they just that's what it comes down to. I mean, there's a certain and tight end again, and we're only talking. I think Dallas is probably going to get 14, somewhere in that range, right under Kittle, which is 15. I think he's going to nestle right there. So 13, 14 in that range. I was trying to look up Mosley. Mosley is scheduled to make 2022 17 and a half, and then 18 and a half, 18 and a half, although you can probably get out of the deal after 2022. That is to use Jerry Seinfeld, that is a big matzo ball at linebacker. That is a big one. That is a big contract at linebacker. And I would say, look, the Eagles aren't paying that for a linebacker. I will say that 100% certainly. I would say 80, 90% of the league wouldn't give that contract to a linebacker. So they're not alone. They're not alone.
That's why he's going to be available.
Yeah.
Because the Jets overpaid him. Now,
Yeah.
I think he's a difference maker. I think he's one of the best linebackers in the game. But even saying that, 17 into 18 million is an overpay. It's an overpay across the league, but that's what makes a guy like Mosley available. That and the fact that the Jets are even worse than the Eagles, more buried in the standings, and aren't going to be making a playoff run the next year or so. That's why you can get your hands on as talented a guy as Mosley.
Well, yeah, but that's why you don't want to. There's always a reason, right? If there's a good players available, there's generally a reason, and that's the reason. And nobody wants to pay that for a linebacker, and that's sometimes I think the Eagles are way too conventional in their thinking, and I say this all the time. They like to be described as an innovative organization. I think they're go along with everybody else organization, to tell you the truth. I think they're very, very conventional. The convention, though, is not necessarily old school football. It's what is in vogue now, in vogue in the modern NFL. So it's the analytics. It's the you can't pay this position this, you can't pay this position that. They go along with the rest of the league when it comes to stuff like that. And nobody pays linebackers $18.5 million in the modern NFL. And the Eagles aren't paying a linebacker $18.5 million.
All right. I'm just saying could be time for a change because the Eagle defense has not wowed me this year. And I think the Raiders are going to put up a 30 spot on them minimum this week, which will once again point to the fact that maybe they need to make some adjustments on defense. That's my stance. Up next, we get the stance of a wizened Eagle veteran reporter. Our buddy Paul Domowitch is going to hop aboard right here on Birds 365.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope. John Doherty, business manager of Local 98, says it this way: the best way not to forget where you come from is to never leave.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. 1 free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
The savoring taste of a good bag of beef jerky is so enjoyable at any time of the day, as long as you can find it. Here's what we suggest. Pure Bull Beef Jerky is our answer, and soon it will be yours. Locally produced in the Philadelphia region, this high-quality, healthy protein snack is easy to secure. Go to steersnacks.com, and you'll see hot garlic, tropical heat, Pure Bull dry rub, and our favorite, Huck and Fod. What's that? Huck and Fod. Go now to steersnacks.com.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
You're listening to and watching Birds 365 here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. We thank you for that. A Football Friday. For that, we bring in an esteemed colleague. He's only been doing this for years. And wait, what is this? I understand. You're going to be working with John McMullen going forward, Damo?
Yeah, that's a bad turn for Damo.
Us old guys have to stick together.
Yeah, that's true.
Who twisted your arm to do this?
I twisted Damo's arm. I figured I saw he's writing for the 33rd team. So, we had Mike Tannenbaum on the show, Joe Banner, obviously involved. So I said, oh, Damo's doing some stuff. So let me ask him. And he had that great stats package for the Inquirer all those years on Fridays, which I thought. So now it's going to be on Philly Mag. I'm excited. Eagles Report Philly Mag. So
looking forward.
Everyone can check that out.
Yeah, retirement has not been what I expected.
No retirement.
My plan was, going to focus on writing a book and take it easy and wake up late. And now I'm writing 5 days a week and it's on hold.
Well, you got to say no. You could have said no, Dom.
Well, I could have, but I didn't want to. So I think, I'm looking forward to working with you, John.
It is exciting. But all right, let's shift gears to the Eagles. That's the most important part of this. So Las Vegas Raiders, for once, Damo, I'm the optimistic one. I think this is a winnable game. I'm not in love with the Raiders. They've done some nice things, but obviously they're going through some difficulties, some uncharted waters with what's going on with John Gruden. The Eagles have certainly not looked good, but I see this as at least a winnable game. I don't expect them to win, but I think it's more of a Carolina-San Francisco game than Tampa Bay, Kansas City, Dallas, where you kind of knew, all right, they're probably not going to win this game. Am I wrong? Can they beat this Raiders team?
I agree. I completely agree. I think it's very winnable, and I think the fact that the line is so small kind of tells you that the gamblers and the bettors think so. I'm not a big. I mean, the Raiders can't run the ball. I'm not a big Derek Carr fan. He can be hot. He can be cold. They've had a lot of success with the deep ball this year, but that's the one thing the Eagles aren't going to give up on Sunday because they got those safeties playing back, by the 700 level or whatever the
Allegiant Stadium, whatever they're.
So I mean, it takes away what they can do. I mean, what the Raiders are not very good at is stopping the run, and so this is going to require a commitment by Nick Sirianni to run the ball, which he has not been willing to do yet. We'll see if that happens on Sunday. I think it would help if they don't fall behind early and he feels a need to start putting the ball up. But, I mean, it's very winnable.
All right, Damo, this should be fun. We're going to do a little role play here. And with the coin flip, it is heads, Eagles. Your choice. What does Nick Sirianni do?
He kicks.
He defers, like always. Why do teams always defer? Why wouldn't you want to take the ball and go, we're going to run it down your throats, Raiders, on your field, on your house? How about a little aggression here, head coach, rather than go, we'll get the ball, start the second half. John and I debated this last week, and it wasn't a debate, but we both kind of questioned the Eagles that if they win the coin flip, should they or shouldn't they defer? They won the coin flip, and they deferred. Of course they did, and they lost the game. I say you win the coin flip, take the ball, Damo.
Well, with this team, I think you do because the defense has given up first possession touchdowns just about every game, or at least points every game on first possession, which kind of takes away what you're trying to accomplish by deferring and getting some momentum and then giving the ball to the offense. So, but, I think Nick's set in his ways when it comes to this. I'd be surprised if that changes.
Yeah, it's interesting because, Damo, before you came on, we were talking about linebackers and Jody wanting them to put more emphasis on that position, which they should, but they're never going to be a team that goes all in at that position, pay big money for that position. They'd like to be, and you talk to Joe Banner a lot, and this really probably goes back to Joe. They'd like to be labeled as innovative, but to me, they're very conventional. They go along with the current thought processes in the league. This is the way you should do things. It's quarterback. We all know it's quarterback. When a value of a position, then it's edge rusher, build on the offensive, defensive line. Why aren't they more malleable if they want to be considered innovative?
Yeah. Well, I mean, with Schwartz, I mean, it's ironic because early in his career, linebackers were, those big inside linebackers were a big part of his scheme. When he got to Philadelphia, I don't know if it's because he was working with. I mean, he just found a way to be successful without particularly good linebackers or semi-successful. I mean, they can be better. This group can be better than they've shown. I think the defense has made them look. The scheme has made them look. I mean, look at Alex Singleton. Last year, he was a very serviceable player last year. He was, he attacked. He was comfortable in Schwartz's scheme. This year, I mean, it's been hard to watch the last several weeks. I mean, I made the comment on Twitter that watching their linebackers make tackles reminded me of a cowboy western where the horse is dragging the rider on the ground. I mean, that's pretty much what it's been, because Alex Singleton's not a guy that's going to, meet somebody in the hole and bring him down. I mean, that's not his, and stop him for no gain. That's not his shtick. I think Howie's plan linebacker wise was, okay, well, we'll draft some, I'm going to find some fast guys and like Davion Taylor and they're going to surprise people. And that's how, and we got a whole rookie contract where we don't have to pay him. So we're still able to spend money elsewhere. Davion Taylor, he's starting to make a couple plays at least, but he's still not a very good player and very raw. It'll be interesting next year with Howie, because the cap goes up so much. You can do whatever you want. They've got Carson Wentz off the books. So, I mean, that's when we'll find out what they really think of the linebacker position, or how much they feel they need to bring in somebody better than Eric Wilson to deal with that position, because they'll be able to pay him.
Well, they'll also be able to put some money into the defensive end position, because Derek Barnett, I believe, will not be back here. They've already made the commitment to Josh Sweat and signed him to a contract extension. I think a fair market contract extension, not a team-friendly deal, not an, oh, my God, they knew they were going to have to compete. They paid what they had to pay above and beyond to keep him. I thought a fair market deal. They're going to make another play for a defensive end with not knowing what Brandon Graham is going to be able to come back at. If they've got a big play in them to spend big bucks and get a top-of-the-line player in the league, is there a chance at the end in your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. Both in the draft and free agency next year. I mean, let's assume Jalen Hurts convinces them he's the quarterback of the future. Then you've got 3 picks. I think one of the high priorities in the draft next year, if that's the case, would be an edge rusher. I don't know. I haven't really checked the class. I know there's some good ones out there. So, and plus, I mean, it's not just the edge rusher. I mean, Fletcher Cox has got, he may not be playing with this team after this year. So defensive tackle is a situation you got to deal with, especially, with the fronts they're using, a lot of 3-man fronts. You got to find a bigger guy. It'll be interesting, but that the defensive line is going to have to be remade for the most part.
Well, Domo, I mean, everything, we're getting ahead of ourselves when we talk about the draft. Everything about this season is about figuring out if you have the quarterback.
Right.
We have a 6-game sample size now. I don't know. Do you know? Where are you? I don't know what they have in Jalen Hurts. And isn't that the biggest problem of all? And I guess my question is, are they running an offense that enables you to evaluate the quarterback properly? And if not, why aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I started the season believing this guy would prove to them that he's the guy. There have been times when I've thought that, and then there's games like last week where you just scratch your head. His decision-making is very slow, particularly on the deep ball. He's late on a lot of those deep balls, which have hurt, although some of them have resulted, because he's been late with them, they've resulted in passing balls. So I guess that's helped. But he doesn't throw very well from the pocket. When he extends a play, he doesn't seem to keep his eyes down the field, because, I mean, I have yet to, every time he bolts for the sideline, he's right on the sideline before he finally gets rid of the ball. Now you got Devonta Smith out there. I just cannot believe he can't shake open and get open where these two can kind of combine on some of the, on some of these kind of plays, but it hasn't been happening. So, I love the running that he brings to the position. I mean, he's got 5 touchdowns. Only Lamar Jackson has more rushing first downs, but as nice as that is to have, if he cannot throw the ball and get first downs that way, you can't go forward believing he's the guy. So right now I'm still up in the air, guys.
Domo, I want you to go with me here. If you don't want to, say, Jody, get lost. But I really want you to go with me here. Lane Johnson just coming back, missed a couple of weeks, had issues. We know what kind of an important role he plays on this team. Brandon Brooks done for the season. Isaac Seumalo out for the season. Eagles relatively young along the offensive line. A veteran really needs to step up on this team, and they've got one who not only is a phenomenal player, but a leader and a guy who, when he needs to, can craft a statement like nobody's business, like he did for Ben Simmons yesterday. You know who I'm referring to, Jason Kelce. What's the chance that Jason Kelce, when they got back from their mini vacation, coaches were working 24/7, texting each other with great ideas on games they were seeing on TV, but the players got to take some downtime. Eventually, the coaches and players got back together at practice. What's the chance that Jason Kelce gets Nick Sirianni alone in a room and says, let's run the effing ball? What the hell are we doing here? I know every offensive lineman on the planet would rather run block than pass block. They all do. Everyone does. Is there any chance Jason Kelce tells the play caller for the Philadelphia Eagles, a.k.a. his head coach, let's run the effing ball?
I think that absolutely probably happened, Jody. Jason's maybe in his last year here, maybe his next to last year, but time's running out, and he knows they need to run the ball more. He knows they can run the ball, especially with Lane back. So, there's no reason he wouldn't hesitate to knock on the door, or my guess is Nick's door is always open. Went in and told him, let's run the damn ball. Now we'll find out if he does.
I hope that's what we see. That gives him a chance to win. If I knew that for sure, I'd be more optimistic about this game. I don't, and that's why I don't think the Eagles are going to win.
Well, the Eagles are, and this is what's so strange to me, Damo, and I don't know if this is still the case. You might know. The Eagles were number 1 in this league in explosive plays in the running game. Now, it's all because of the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So it's unconventional, obviously. They're not turning the football. They're not under center, turning around, handing the football to the running back. But they've generated explosive plays in the running game. Now, in the passing game, the stat that troubles me is 208 throws, I think 6 of them in between the hash marks. And you have Zach Ertz at the time, obviously gone now. You have Dallas Goedert. You have Kenny Gainwell, who can run those angle routes. You have Miles Sanders, who can do some things in the passing game, although he's inconsistent. That's like, I can't figure out this offense. I can't figure out what they're trying to accomplish. I said before you came on, I can at least figure out what Jonathan Gannon is trying to accomplish. It might not be pretty, but I get what he's trying to do. I can't explain what Nick Sirianni is trying to do offensively. Can you explain it?
Well, he's admitted several times that he's never really had much experience at coaching a quarterback like this. Most of his quarterbacks have been, Phillip Rivers types. So I think that plays into it a little bit. He's still trying to learn how to use this guy. I think Jalen's inconsistency, I think they keep from week to week trying to figure out the best way to make him successful. And it's, I don't know why the RPOs don't work. That's what he ran at Oklahoma. He's got guys that can run it here. I figured you run Devonta Smith on a slant and you can't get 6 yards, 7 yards a pop. That just is incomprehensible to me. And then it opens up the run game. So I don't know what's going on. I thought Brian Johnson would help all of this, because of his background, not only with Jalen, but with these kind of offenses that where I mean, Brian was a running quarterback, a read option quarterback himself years ago at Utah, and has coached it along the way, that offense. So, I don't know. I'm assuming he's got input, a lot of it. I'm thinking just one day we're going to wake up on a Sunday and everything's going to work, and you're going to say, "Wow!" But we're here. We're entering week 7, and it's still very scattershot. So I don't know.
On the offensive line, you get Lane Johnson back, which is huge, which means they get to move Driscoll back inside, where I think he did a good job for the 1 week he played before Lane went down. And, of course, they got Dickerson on the other side. This should be a good offensive line, which means they should be able to run the football. And I would take the ball to begin with. Win the coin toss, take the ball, try and run the ball before you fall behind, because I think Nick Sirianni always falls prey to, we're losing, we got to throw it 75% of the time. Will the Eagles, if they choose to run the ball this week, we'll start with that assumption. If that's the case, will they run it effectively, Dama?
If they run, they should be able to run it effectively. The Raiders are not very good at stopping the run. I think they're giving up like 4.6 yards a pop. People like Austin, the Chargers running back,
Austin Eckler.
A lot of guys have had success against them. So, the key is going to be they need to stay with the Raiders. They can't turn this into another, we're down 14-0, and we got to play catch up again, because that's when you're going to see the run disappear. Which plays into why you should want them to get the ball at the beginning and just try it on the field with the run. But they should be able to do it against the Raiders.
Now, everybody likes to play from the lead in this league, Dom. It's just easier to play when you have the lead, but it does seem to be more paramount for this particular team. I mean, they're not equipped to come back from 2-score deficits,
right?
Because they can't throw the football from the pocket, at least consistently. From the standpoint of arm strength, I think that's been overrated with Jalen Hurts. I think you're right when you say he's late on those deep throws. I mean, we saw the Hail Mary. Was it Baker Mayfield's Hail Mary? Yeah. Whichever went 65. Like, who throws the ball 70 yards in this league? I mean, who cares? Aaron Rodgers can get it there. But if you get the ball out on time, Jalen Hurts has plenty of arm. So is it just anticipation? Is it just trusting what he sees? Is it just, the natural evolution of a young quarterback?
Yeah.
Is there a possibility for improvement?
I think there is, John. You're right. I don't think it's arm strength with him. It's touch. It's timing. He's got enough arm strength to make all the throws, including the deep ball. He's made, he's underthrown a lot of balls, but I don't think it's because he was late with it. I don't know. I mean, he's just not. He doesn't seem right now. Still doesn't seem comfortable, and as far as his recognition skills in the pocket, he doesn't move around in the pocket nearly as well as even you watch. I mean, this is a bad comparison because the guy's the greatest quarterback of all time, but Tom Brady, doesn't have a third of the speed this guy does, but he knows how to feel pressure. Knows when he needs to climb the pocket. He's still learning that because he never had to do it before. At Oklahoma, at Alabama, got the ball, first read, it's out. Now it's different. That first read's taken away, and he's got to be patient. He's got to understand what he's doing back there. And I think the game is still – this is a smart kid, and I've always felt that coaches' kids are the best people to have as quarterbacks. But it's still, he's in his second year. This is his 11th start, 12th start?
Yeah, 11, yeah.
I think the game has not yet quite slowed down for him yet to the point where, we can make an accurate judgment on his true talent. So when that'll happen, if you're Nick Sirianni, you're sure hoping it's this week. I think it's happening a little bit at a time, but he's still very inconsistent. And that's what's troubling right now.
Now, your old colleague, before you jump in, Jody, I just want to follow up. Marcus Hayes, our buddy.
Yeah.
He went there. He went there this week. I guess you don't agree. Marcus was on the show when we have it. Was that yesterday, Jody?
Yesterday.
Everything runs together. He went there. I give him credit.
Yeah.
But what are you going to bench Jalen Hurts for in Philadelphia right now?
Exactly. What purpose does that serve?
Yeah.
I mean, there none. And certainly Jalen hasn't played poorly enough for 4 quarters to convince you, even if you thought, okay, we still got a shot at the playoffs. And I'm sure they still believe that they can, with the games they've got, that they can at least be a 9-8 team. But yeah, there's, I love Marcus to death, but he's full of it with that. I mean, that makes no sense whatsoever.
Crunching Joe Flacco to the rescue. We shall see. I don't think Nick Sirianni sees it either. One of the reasons why I think the Eagles are going to lose by 2 scores on Sunday is the Raiders tight end. The over-under number on yards receiving for Darren Waller is 59.5. You taking the under or the over, Domo?
Probably the over. They're going to try and take away Ruggs and Edwards on the deep ball, which is, I believe Carr has thrown the most 20-plus pass plays in the league. So, I mean, you can't give them that. So that's going to open things up for Waller even more than usual. The key there, and the key as it was with Schwartz's defense, is you got to tackle them as soon as they catch the ball. I mean, there can be no yak. There can be no yards after the catch. And that's not happening this year, mainly because they're playing even farther back than usual. And they seem to be slow getting to receivers like Waller. But so I think he's going to get a lot of yards on Sunday. They just have to hope that they're not, backbreaking yards.
By the way, Tom, I've been asking everybody this week, do you remember when Baltimore was in here for joint practices and Darren Waller was a rookie receiver out of Georgia Tech, and he just beat the Eagles like a drum that day? I was like, who the hell is this kid? Who is this? And then all the years down the road, he changes into a tight end and he becomes a star.
Yeah.
I say that for this reason. Tyree Jackson, they started his 21-day window.
Mm-hmm.
Looks fine physically. The Eagles, Howie Roseman brought him up twice, and nobody asked him about him when he traded Zach Ertz at the press conference. So he did it on his own. Shane Steichen brought him up. Nick Sirianni brought him up. They really think they have something in Tyree Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, I was there with you this summer, John. Watched him in training camp, and I love the guy. I mean, he made some plays, including the play that he got hurt on. But he's huge, and he can do more than get in the way as a blocker, which is nice. I love Zach Ertz, but Zach Ertz could not block, and that's why he was expendable. I mean, Dallas Goedert's going to make mistakes, but he's one of the best inline tight ends in the league, and that can help your running game. And that's one reason why I think they can run this week. Getting him back against the Raiders gives them an extra blocker up front. So, but I think Jackson's going to be a terrific player. I think they're going to slowly integrate him into the offense. We'll see more and more 12, I think, although they still favor 11. But, I mean, you can't let this guy just sit on the bench. So, I think he's going to be a terrific player, and I like what he brings to the table.
All right, Damo, I want to do a little schedule breakdown with you, if that's okay. Take a look at the Eagles. 6 games in, knew the beginning of the schedule, season start, can be difficult, tough matchups. That's why they're 2-4. The tail end of the schedule, if you take Dallas and put them on hold, that different look 17th game, we all kind of screw it up talking about, well, if they go 8-8, well, they can't go 8-8 anymore. It's stupid because they play 17 games. So we'll put Dallas week 17 aside. You got 5 games here, and then you got the final 5 before you get to Dallas. Those final 5 are Washington twice, the Giants twice, and the Jets. That's slim pickings. And I know the Eagles are 2-4, but I think the Giants are worse. I think Washington's worse. They're very similar, but I'll give the Eagles a slight nod. And yes, painstakingly, I will say the Jets are worse. So these next 5 games are key. If you can make hay in those final 5 before Dallas, these next 5 are key. For me, for the Eagles to be in the thought process of potentially sneaking into the playoffs, which maybe some people want no part of, but I thought that every fan wanted to take a shot every year, but that's just me. Next 5, Vegas, at Detroit, home Chargers, at Denver, home New Orleans. For me, they got to go 3-2. Out of those 5 games, they have to find a way to go 3-2. They'll still be below 500 going into those last 5 by 1 game, but those are an easy 5 that you should be able to go well over 500. Who are the 3 wins? Vegas, Detroit, Chargers, Denver, Saints. If we're optimistically thinking they go 3-2 there, who are they beating?
Well, I've got them winning Sunday. Close, but I've got them winning. I think they'll be, the Saints just, I don't think are as good as, Jameis Winston's going to come down to earth at some point here. I mean, I expected them to have an apocalyptical season. It hasn't happened, but so, I mean, I think that's a game they win. They don't beat the Chargers. Detroit's the one that concerns me. One day they're going to have to show up and they're going to be like, okay, this is the day we win. And they're not as bad as they look.
No.
They are. Yeah,
I disagree. I'm with Damo. They got a 66-yard field goal from the greatest kicker of all time. They lost on that. Then they lost the
greatest
next
kicker
week.
Of all time is in Baltimore.
That's who I said. That's who beat
them.
Okay.
Tucker that's who they lost
66,
to, right. Okay.
66-yard field goal. Then the next week they lost on a 56-yard field goal at the buzzer. They've been in games, Jody. They got to win one. I guess Rod Marinelli didn't win one, so they don't have to win one.
No, they don't. They find ways to lose, and they'll do the same against the Eagles, and a week and change from now. They're a losing franchise.
But Damo's right in the fact that they've been in games. They've had opportunities to win games.
Right. So I'm going to say Raiders. I'm going to say they win the next 2 weeks. They're going to beat the Lions, but it'll be close. They beat the Raiders on Sunday, and they beat the Saints, and they have a chance to go 4-1. It all comes down to the quarterback. I mean, if he gets his act together, they've got an explosive offense. It just, and the defense is going to continue to play this bend but don't sort of break approach, but
bend but break. bend but
eventually break is what it is.
Yeah.
Yes. So, all right, let's go. Let's play this out for November 2nd. So say they beat the Raiders, they beat the Lions. I think the worst case scenario for this team is they talk themselves into, maybe we can make a run. And we're sellers at the trade deadline. We're buyers instead of sellers. And they're trying to bring in players. Damo, don't you think they have to be disciplined and say this is the transition year? Jeffrey Lurie said it was way back when he fired Doug Peterson. You can't get caught up in that stuff.
No, and I don't think they will because they're so looking forward to next year. And I know that, being a seller would add more draft picks to that. But who are you going to sell right now? I mean, nobody's going to take Fletcher Cox from you. I thought the guy that they might actually think of trading it before he started before he had his problems was Lane Johnson. And that's not going to happen now. So I don't know who you would trade that would get you anything but a 7th round pick. So I'm not sure why there's and I don't know who you'd want where you'd have to give up. They're not going to give up those 3 picks next year, or theoretically 3 picks in the first round. So I think they stand pat, play with what they got.
All right, if they go further seller rather than flip the script and go buyer, which is what I'm rooting for, which of the 2 corners, if they were to settle corner, they're not going to be able to trade Slay. His contract is just too big, my estimation. But right. Nelson's contract is up. Maddox's contract is up. Certainly Nelson outside guy, Maddox inside guy. But everybody in the NFL wants 3 wide receivers out there on every single play. So the importance of the slot corner has just risen over the last several years in this league. Which would they get a bigger draft pick for, Nelson or Maddox?
Well, definitely Maddox, but you don't want to get rid of him. I mean, hey, I've liked Maddox as a slot guy since they drafted him. And in fact, I thought maybe they didn't move him to safety. I think John and I have had that discussion early on, and I was kind of in the minority on that. Probably still am. But when he made that play in the end zone, knocked that ball away, he won my heart for the rest of the year. That was a hell of a play.
The hell of a play. And they had 3 interceptions that day, and his play was actually the best athletic play of the entire game against Carolina.
Yeah. But he's the guy you could get something for. What are you going to get for Steve Nelson? A jock? I mean, come on.
All right, let's end it on some positivity, Domo, because Jody and I have foreshadowed. I think the Eagles have a chance to win the game, but I don't have them winning the game. You said you got them winning the game. Why do you have the Eagles beating the Las Vegas Raiders? No John Gruden, Rich Bisaccia, can't stop the run. What gives you that optimism?
I like – actually, I've known Rich for a long time, but I think last week's win over the Broncos was kind of an emotional – you didn't know what they were going to do with Gruden gone, a new coach. I think they rode that in a positive way last week, but it's that kind of emotion generally lasts 1 week. Now they're back to normal. They're back to being the Raiders that they were before that. And I just don't think they're a particularly good team. They've got a lot of flaws. They're, like I said, they're not going to get the deep ball against the Eagles. So they're going to have to run the ball, and maybe they can win that way. But I think the Eagles can run the ball, will run the ball this week. I think Hurts needs, they need to keep the takeaways down. They're not going to get many takeaways from the Raiders. I think they have the fewest in the league, like 4, all on Carr interceptions. But so that's why I think they can win. I don't think they're going to give – this is a game where if you don't give up the big – this kind of feeds into Gannon's philosophy. Don't give up the big play. Just make them work, and good things will happen. And I that's why I think they'll win.
All right, several things we will not hear on the broadcast on Sunday. Jalen Hurts under center. The Eagles run the ball for the 3rd consecutive play.
Oh, you might hear that.
and the Eagles have won the toss and decided to receive. Those are 3 things we will not hear on the broadcast of the Eagles game this weekend. Sorry, I'm a pessimist. Every once in a while, you just got to call them the way you see them, and we did so. That's why we bring you on, Dom, because you call him the way you see him. A pleasure, buddy. My condolences for having to work with John McMullen. I know I do it, so got to suck it up and get that done. But looking forward to read both of you guys in Philly Mag. Dom will get you back in a couple of weeks. All right, brother?
Thanks, guys. Good talking to you.
Thanks, Tom.
Paul Domowitch, now a Philly Mag, doing work with John McMullen. And it's going to be a must-read for you Eagle guys, the same way it is for tuning in here to Birds 365. All right, we'll come back, put a bow on the show. I might shock you with my Eagle pick.
Whoa.
Not happening out here. So
got to come back anyway. You. Come on.
Maybe McMullen will shock you. Maybe he'll flop. Maybe he's going to go Eagles.
Yeah.
Stay right here and find out.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope. John Doherty, business manager of Local 98, says it this way: the best way not to forget where you come from is to never leave.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
The savoring taste of a good bag of beef jerky is so enjoyable at any time of the day, as long as you can find it. Here's what we suggest. Pure Bull Beef Jerky is our answer, and soon it will be yours. Locally produced in the Philadelphia region, this high-quality, healthy protein snack is easy to secure. Go to steersnacks.com, and you'll see hot garlic, tropical heat, Pure Bull dry rub, and our favorite, Huck and Fod. What's that? Huck and Fod. Go now to steersnacks.com.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
All right, we're missing our music. This has been a technical football Friday here on Birds 365, but somehow we've gotten through it. Johnny Mack, we've only got 3 minutes left. Quickie review. Bob Grotz was on. He did not think the Eagles could win. Did he give us a score? Did Grotz give us a score?
He didn't give us a score, but that's our fault. I was worried about technical issues. I didn't ask for a score.
Right. It's a shame on me, too. But he certainly, through all the answers that he gave, I think it was pretty clear that Bob doesn't think the Eagles are going to win.
No.
We just had Paul Domowitch on, who said he's picking an Eagles win. A bit of an upset. They're a 3-point underdog going out to Las Vegas. Oh, by the way, the Eagles have been underdog in all 7 games that they played so far this year. So they've won twice as an underdog. He's making it a 3rd time against Vegas. John
Detroit
McMullen
coming up. Are they going to be favored before we get to that? Are they going to? Well, probably depends on this week.
Right. That'll be a fun line to check out. And I think they should be favored because I think the Lions stink. You and Damo give them credit for being close. I don't.
I like Deuce.
I might like Deuce too. Sorry, Deuce, you picked the loser. Every once in a while you jump on the wrong horse and you end up losing. And I think Deuce has. Johnny Mack, you're off to Vegas. Sometimes people go to Vegas and they never return. They just disappear from the face of the earth. So this could be
this trip.
This could be the last statement you ever make on Birds 365. No, you're not going to be back in time for Monday, so we're not going to hear from you till Tuesday. If you do make it out of Vegas, what happens? Vegas Raiders versus the Eagles on Sunday.
Well, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I can't tell you that yet. No, they're gonna lose the football game. Look, I think it's a winnable game, as I explained, but I can't pick them to win until I actually see them do it. Now, we saw them do it. I compared this early in the show to San Francisco and Carolina. They won one, they lost one. They beat Carolina, they lost to San Francisco. Ironically, I think San Francisco, they outplayed San Francisco. I think Carolina outplayed them, and they lost against San Francisco. They beat Carolina. So I think they're going to be in the football game. I think they're going to have a chance to win the football game. I like Damo's thought process. I have the same thought process. I thought Las Vegas rode an emotional wave the right way. I think that only lasts 1 week. I think they start feeling the effects of what's going on outside, off the field. But I can't, until I see it, I can't pick the Eagles. I have the Raiders winning 28-22.
28-22? Then your score and my score are relatively close. I got the Raiders winning 33-24, which is more than a 1-score game. It's a 2-score game. Maybe the Eagles have it late, knowing that they've got to be able to score. and 2 scores will be a significant difference and a fourth quarter hill that they can't climb over. I think this is another one of those die by 1,000 paper cut deaths. I think that the quarterback will be happy to just throw it underneath and hit Ruggs on a couple of under routes rather than going over the top. Jonathan can play his good deep defense and not give up any 40-yard bombs, but the Raiders will just march it down the field and score. That way, I'm putting a 33 spot on. They win easily 33-24, which means over and Raiders. Sorry, Eagles fans. But here's the good news. If I'm wrong, you can come here and abuse me on the stream come Monday. I'm going to be here. McMullen's not. He's got to go to Vegas. It's going to be friggin' 5 o'clock in the morning when the show starts for him out there in Las Vegas. So he's taking a pass on Monday. Jeff Kerr will be in his stead. Feel free to call into the last 10 minutes of the show. If you're up, if you're in the hotel room waiting to leave, if you want to hop on for the last 10, 15 minutes, feel free, Johnny Mac, if you're up that early, if you could do something like that. What do we do there? We just lost John. Oh, that's what it's going to be like on Monday without.
No, I just hit the wrong thing. I hit leave stream instead of unmute. My dog was barking, but I'm leaving. I'm on a 5 a.m. flight from Las Vegas, and then I got to get to Dallas, and then I got to transfer Dallas to Philadelphia. So it's not a matter of I'm not going to be up. I'm going to be up for the show. I'm going to be up for Birds 365.
So if the flight's delayed, that means we can have you on at the top of the show?
If the flight's delayed, if something, which is, don't even say that, Jay, because I'm dreading this to begin with. But yeah, I'm going to be on the stinking plane. That's the issue.
Okay. All right. I'm rooting for a flight delay so we can punch up at the top of the show. Either way, safe travels, my friend. Thanks for doing it this week, bud.
Always. And I'll be looking forward Tuesday. You'll have Jeff Kerr Monday on Birds 365. I'm sure you'll break down, and I will try to check in if at all possible. So but hopefully that
when
works.
You get on that plane, have your phone on silent. Don't be breaking any laws for us. Don't get yourself thrown off the plane.
Whispers. I don't think that matters. Whisper. I don't think it matters.
No, nor do I, but you got to follow the rules.
Yeah.
We try to follow the rules here on Bird 365. Rules are we'll be back Monday morning after an Eagles-Raiders game. We'll be back to talk about it then. Have a good weekend, everybody. Good luck to the Eagles. I think they need it.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube.